The murder hornet moniker has created a lot of fear, and if you look at mortality statistics, falling in your home is still far more risky.
They warned us it was just a big bee. Loud, fast, and mean, but harmless, right? Then bodies started dropping. Bee colonies torn to shreds. Livestock drained of life. And when scientists finally caught it on camera, even they couldn't believe what they saw.
This is a queen from Japan of the Asian giant.
These weren't hornets. They were tactical predators, marking targets, executing hive-wide assaults, and disappearing underground like something engineered.
Every year there are people in Japan that are hospitalized from multiple stings, and some even die.
But the scariest part, they're evolving. And now, they're here. The first sightings. At first, people thought it was just a myth. A bee the size of your thumb? Some kind of urban legend passed around by terrified farmers and old forest rangers. In the quiet, misty regions of rural Japan, locals began whispering stories of something strange flying through the trees. Something loud, something fast, something that didn't just sting, it hunted. They called it the sasori-bachi, the giant sparrow bee. But scientists knew it by another name, Vespa mandarinia, or what the rest of the world would soon call the murder hornet. These hornets weren't just larger than life, they were practically biological weapons. At 2 inches long with a wingspan over 3 inches, they didn't fly so much as hovered, their wings producing a low, eerie thrum that could be heard before they were even seen. Witnesses compared their flight to that of a small bird, and when they landed, they didn't just land on flowers, they went for flesh. One local farmer in Yamaguchi Prefecture claimed he watched a swarm attack a hive of bees in his backyard, and within minutes, there were only pieces left. Heads, wings, silence, entire bee colonies wiped out in a single morning. He tried reporting it, but officials laughed. Probably hornet fever, one joked. Another theory spread online, that climate change was mutating insects into bigger, faster, more violent versions of themselves. At the time, nobody took that seriously. But in hindsight, maybe they should have. Around 2013, Japanese media began quietly reporting an alarming trend. Over 30 deaths per year linked to hornet stings, and not from allergic reactions, but multiple organ failure. Locals said the stings felt like hot nails driven under the skin, and the pain often lasted for days. In one rare interview, a park ranger said he'd seen a hiker collapse after being stung 3 times. He was bleeding from the eyes. I still can't explain it. The video went viral for a few hours before being removed. Online forums began buzzing with speculation. Were these hornets evolving? Were they part of some government experiment gone wrong? Conspiracy theorists even claimed they were accidentally released from a defunct Soviet bioweapons lab. But the real horror was still to come, because no one had yet captured what these hornets were truly capable of. The nest discovery. For years, the world only heard rumors. But it wasn't until a joint team of Japanese and French entomologists installed high-speed cameras in a dense cedar forest near Kyoto that the myth turned into something far worse. They weren't just trying to film hornets in flight. They were hoping to uncover what no one had ever seen clearly before: a full-scale nest attack. What they captured left seasoned scientists physically shaken. At precisely 6:12 a.m., motion sensors triggered the cameras. What followed was surgical brutality. A swarm of Vespa mandarinia descended on a beehive like a military unit. Not clumsy, chaotic buzzing, but a coordinated invasion. The lead hornet marked the target with a pheromone secretion, and within minutes, dozens more arrived. One by one, they decapitated bees with their powerful mandibles, flicking heads aside as if on instinct. Hundreds of bees dropped to the hive floor in less than 30 minutes. Within 2 hours, the entire colony, over 30,000 bees, was annihilated. And here's the part that shocked even veteran researchers. The hornets didn't eat the adult bees. They were after one thing: the larvae and pupae. With calculated efficiency, they removed the protective wax caps and extracted the soft-bodied young, carrying them away to feed their own growing nest. Dr. Ayumi Takahashi, a lead researcher, later described it as like watching a live autopsy unfold, except it was being done by insects. But the horror didn't stop there. When the team followed the hornets back to their nest, using microtransmitters glued onto one of the hornets, they discovered something unprecedented. A nest over 3 feet wide, buried underground, pulsing with activity. The thermal imaging revealed what looked like a living furnace. The temperature inside, a steady 86 degrees Fahrenheit, regulated with pinpoint accuracy by worker hornets fanning their wings and adjusting tunnel airflow. The footage aired briefly on Japanese public television before being pulled without explanation. But leaked clips appeared on Reddit and dark science forums. Theories exploded. Some believed this behavior wasn't just natural, it was evolutionary warfare. Others suggested that if these hornets were ever introduced to North America, the continent's bee population wouldn't survive a single season. They were right, because 1 year later, someone did spot one in Washington state. Why these hornets are nearly unstoppable. What scientists didn't expect, and what truly pushed this investigation into global panic, was the discovery of the hornets' hidden biological advantage, something far more terrifying than their size or strength. When researchers dissected several hornets from the Kyoto raid, they uncovered a chemical signature unlike anything they'd seen in other wasps, a neuroactive venom cocktail scientists later named mandaratoxin. This toxin didn't just cause pain, it triggered a chain reaction in the human nervous system that forced the body into overdrive. Victims who survived described their heartbeat racing uncontrollably, muscles locking, and a burning sensation that traveled through their limbs like electricity under the skin. But the venom was only half the story. The hornet's true evolutionary superpower was something far stranger, the ability to launch pheromone-coded attacks. Dr. Hiroshi Onuki's team discovered that every hornet carried a microscopic gland capable of releasing a kill marker, an invisible chemical flag that labeled a target for total destruction. Once marked, the target wasn't just vulnerable, it was doomed. The hornets would pursue it relentlessly, sometimes traveling nearly a mile to finish the attack. The team tested this by placing the pheromone on a decoy hive in a sealed environment. Within minutes, hornets outside the enclosure began swarming the barrier, desperately trying to break in. Even more disturbing was what high-speed cameras revealed about their coordination. The hornets communicated mid-flight through tiny bursts of wing vibrations, similar to how dolphins and bats use sound pulses. It wasn't random, it was strategy. They were forming attack formations, spirals, flanks, and dive patterns, as if following a battlefield blueprint older than human civilization. Some researchers now believe these hornets may have evolved in parallel with early forest-dwelling primates as defensive predators, explaining why they show alarming aggression toward anything human-sized. A leaked research memo from a European entomology lab even raised a chilling theory. If the pheromone system becomes amplified due to environmental factors, we may witness coordinated assaults involving multiple nests acting like a networked organism. In other words, a hornet supercolony. The global spread and what we're doing too late. The first official North American sighting came in Blaine, Washington in late 2019, when a local beekeeper discovered piles of decapitated bees scattered outside a hive. At first, state officials assumed it was a raccoon or small predator. But a photo taken by the beekeeper, showing a giant insect head with unmistakable mandibles, caught the attention of entomologists across the country. Within weeks, the Washington State Department of Agriculture confirmed it. Vespa mandarinia had arrived. What made this worse? It wasn't just a stray queen that had drifted across the Pacific. Using micro-radio trackers, scientists located a nest buried deep beneath the roots of a dead alder tree. When they finally cut it open in October 2020, they discovered a fully active supernest. packed with over 500 live hornets, 200 of them queens, each capable of starting a new colony. The timing couldn't have been worse. This happened just as autumn set in, the exact season when new queens go dormant and prepare to emerge in spring. If even a handful escaped, experts warned, the West Coast's bee population could collapse in less than a decade. And it's not just bees at risk. According to a 2021 USDA report, if murder hornets spread into California's almond orchards or Florida's citrus groves, the pollination industry, worth over $20 billion annually, could face irreversible damage. The hornets don't just kill bees, they obliterate entire ecosystems by erasing the pollinators that keep crops alive. As of now, there is no known effective pesticide that kills hornets underground without also destroying surrounding soil health or other insect life. Meanwhile, theories have exploded across the internet. Some claim the hornets hitched a ride aboard cargo ships from Asia, hidden in wooden crates or soil packaging. Others believe climate change is driving them farther north, giving them access to new habitats previously too cold to survive in. A viral theory suggests they were deliberately released as a biological soft weapon to destabilize agriculture-dependent economies. While unproven, the growing frequency of sightings, from British Columbia to Oregon, has sparked quiet panic behind closed doors in both agricultural and defense sectors. Now tracking teams race the clock, wearing thick Kevlar suits and carrying infrared drones. Their mission? Find and destroy every queen before the next warm season, because once the hornets swarm, there's no reset button. The hybrid theory, are they evolving even faster than we thought? Just when scientists thought they had a handle on the spread of Vespa mandarinia, something even more disturbing began to emerge. Reports of unusual hornet behavior and appearance in areas far outside their known range. In late 2022, a team of independent researchers in southern China documented a hornet colony that appeared larger, more aggressive, and most alarmingly, immune to common tracking pheromones. These hornets didn't follow the usual tag and swarm strategy. Instead, they attacked in complete silence, ignoring decoy targets and going straight for live hives, as if they had learned to distinguish between real and artificial signals. The theory? A hybrid strain. Scientists from the Kunming Institute of Zoology sequenced the DNA from captured specimens and found something they weren't expecting. Cross-species genetic blending between Vespa mandarinia and a native heat-resistant wasp species called Vespa velutina nigrithorax, known for its high-altitude tolerance and rapid reproductive cycle. This unintentional hybridization, likely driven by overlapping nesting grounds and increased environmental stress, created what some are now calling the Velu mandar hornet. Here's where things get worse. This new variant is slightly smaller, allowing it to travel longer distances. But it retains the lethal venom of its murder hornet parent. It also matures twice as fast and appears to build satellite nests, meaning a single queen can establish multiple sites in a single season. According to Dr. Yanli Cheng, who helped sequence the hybrid's genome, this isn't just evolution, this is acceleration. Nature is responding to human disruption by creating more aggressive survival models. Already similar hornets have been spotted in northern Thailand, Vietnam, and shockingly, in Hawaii, where experts fear it may have arrived via shipping containers. Videos have surfaced on social media showing hornets dive-bombing livestock, with reports of chickens found dead from what appear to be clustered stings around the eyes and neck. Farmers describe these hornets as more clever, avoiding pesticides and even relocating nests after attacks. Now, entomologists worldwide are on edge. If these hybrids reach mainland North America or Europe, traditional hornet control methods may fail entirely. What began as a regional concern is now evolving into a planet-wide biological arms race. And the insects? They're adapting faster than we can react. The hornet zones no one talks about. In a quiet stretch of rural northern Thailand, farmers began noticing something strange in early 2023. Not just dead bees, but an eerie silence. No birds, no frogs, no small animals. Within a 5-mile radius of several known hybrid hornet nests, entire patches of jungle seemed empty. Dogs refused to enter certain trails. Birds avoided entire trees. Locals began calling these areas dead zones, and some swore they saw even snakes abandoning their dens. It was dismissed as folklore at first, until scientists followed the trail. A team from Chiang Mai University began investigating these hornet zones using motion-sensing wildlife cameras and audio monitoring equipment. The result? Startling. In regions with active hornet nests, animal activity dropped by over 90%, especially small mammals and birds. Insects disappeared entirely. It wasn't just predator fear. The sensors picked up high-frequency vibrations that triggered escape behavior in everything from lizards to field mice. These sounds came not from environmental factors, but from the nests themselves, a kind of bioacoustic field generated by the hornets during certain periods of the day. The team believes the hornets may be emitting a defensive frequency, possibly as a territorial deterrent or as part of a colony-wide coordination system. In one case, a nest near a rural pig farm was associated with dozens of missing chickens, all vanishing without blood or feathers. Only scratch marks on the coop doors remained. Were they eaten, driven off by fear, or did the hornets do something no one has seen before? Even more disturbing, villagers in Laos reported watching hornets swarm a wild boar caught in a snare. Instead of avoiding it, the insects attacked in waves, stinging it until it collapsed. By the time the villagers approached, only bones remained. While unverified, the tale mirrors others. Reports of hornets killing not just out of defense, but domination. Some biologists now wonder, are these hornets becoming apex micropredators? If hybrid colonies continue expanding, what happens to the natural balance in areas where even snakes and birds no longer dare to enter? The line between insect and invasive terror might already be behind us, and almost no one is watching. Hive proximity syndrome. At first, no one noticed the pattern. Field researchers complained of dizziness. A tracker in British Columbia had recurring nightmares. A Japanese entomologist working near a giant underground nest developed intense migraines, nausea, and, according to her medical report, episodes of memory loss. But it wasn't until an entire scientific crew in Vietnam pulled out of a site early due to what they described as extreme disorientation, paranoia, and visual hallucinations that neurologists began asking a much darker question. Could proximity to large hornet nests actually be affecting human brain function? Dubbed hive proximity syndrome by a French neurobiology team in late 2023, this phenomenon remains controversial but is gaining traction in entomological circles. Their hypothesis? The massive hybrid hornet colonies now forming around Asia and parts of North America may be emitting low-frequency infrasound vibrations. Inaudible to the human ear, but capable of subtly altering brainwave activity, especially after extended exposure. These frequencies may not just affect animal life, they may be disrupting us too. One documented case involved a technician who spent 7 days monitoring a nest hidden beneath a greenhouse floor in eastern Oregon. By day 3, he reported blurred vision and emotional instability. By day 5, he became convinced the hornets were communicating with each other about him. On day 7, he was pulled from the site after he claimed the nest was growing toward him on purpose. Medical tests showed abnormal cortisol levels and disrupted REM sleep patterns, yet no drugs, infections, or environmental toxins were found. The most bizarre part? He wasn't alone. Several field agents across Japan, Korea, and Washington state have independently reported the same symptoms: irrational fear, hearing faint clicking sounds, and dreams filled with pulsing insect-like imagery. One researcher reportedly abandoned her career altogether, saying, "It's not just the venom, it's the presence. You feel watched." while no direct evidence yet links hornet activity to neurological disruption. Classified memos from international environmental agencies, leaked in mid-2024, suggest that governments are beginning to take these symptoms seriously. Ancient warnings. Did our ancestors already know about these hornets? Long before scientists ever pointed a camera at a murder hornet's nest, ancient humans might have already sounded the alarm. In remote regions of Sichuan Province, China, archaeologists excavating a Han Dynasty burial site in 2018 uncovered stone carvings unlike anything previously catalogued. Among them was a weathered relief depicting a swarm of what appeared to be giant winged insects attacking a village, complete with adult figures lying collapsed and smaller figures, possibly children, running toward water. What stood out most? The insects had exaggerated mandibles and wide ridged eyes. Next to the carving was a faded inscription. When translated, it read, "Do not disturb the earth where the sky stingers sleep." At the time, researchers dismissed it as myth, but now entomologists are revisiting these ancient texts with new urgency. In tribal folklore across parts of Nepal, Bhutan, and Laos, oral traditions speak of sky burrowers, insects that came every 100 years to punish those who forgot the laws of balance. In one Bhutanese epic, a hornet-like swarm wipes out a kingdom's food source after the locals destroy the forests around sacred hill mounds, locations that modern drone surveys have shown are near-known Vespa mandarinia nesting zones today. Even in Japan, where the hornet has been known for centuries, the Ainu people of Hokkaido believed in creatures called shirikuma, or buzzing executioners, who were said to appear when the balance of nature was disturbed. They were described as flying daggers with poison for eyes, and were often linked to land shifts or the burning of old forests. Are these legends? Or records of past hornet expansions and ecological backlash? Some modern researchers believe the murder hornet may have undergone similar blooms and retreats in history, emerging when climate, deforestation, or imbalance allowed their numbers to spike. If that's true, then this current wave isn't just a freak incident. It could be part of a long-forgotten natural cycle, one our ancestors feared enough to encode in art and myth. And if we've truly seen this before, the next question is even more chilling. What happened to the civilizations that didn't listen? Subscribe and click the card to find out.